Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create my Valhalla bracelet. And I want to thank Forrest Hook for choosing the name for me. So you will need about 215 bands for this design. The breakdown of that is 58 of the pastel border, 85 of the green in the middle, 24 of the baby blue, and 48 of the navy blue. So you certainly can do a different color scheme if you want, like I did here. I changed the middle bands, and on this one I did something a little different. But I really like how it looks with all one color in the center, so that's what I'll be doing today. But let's go ahead and get our bands together for right now. Don't forget one C-clip and your hook, and I will explain the loom setup. To make this bracelet, you will need to have at least 5 bars wide. For a full-length bracelet, though, you will need 10 total. So you'll have 5 set up here, and then another 5 set up right in front of it where those long blue bases are. I will connect a video showing you how to do a 5-bar wide setup if you don't know how to do that. So the first thing that we're going to do is choose the border color, which is the yellow here. We're only going to need a few of them to start. So I'm going to be using this dual pastel green. I'm going to grab my first one, and we're just going to lay it loosely on the very center pin, and that's just for closing it later. We're going to go out to the left 2 times from the center pin. So out to the left and out to the left again, and we'll do the same thing going to the right. So from the center pin, go out to the right, and then out to the right again. So you're going to put your border colors to the side for now, and we're going to choose our center color. So I'm going to stick to one color like I did on here where all the green bands are. I'm going to be using teal. So we're going to start by laying our first one in the center going straight. And then we need to lay 2 horizontals on the second row. So it basically makes that look like a T in the middle. Now we're going to lay it a little bit differently for the next row because we do keep alternating. So on this row, starting on the second row, we're going to do a diagonal to the center. And from the right side, a diagonal to the center, which makes basically an upside down V there. And then we have to lay 2 horizontals. Now we're going to go back to laying it like this first one. So we will now lay a straight one in the center. And we always finish by doing 2 horizontals on top, which is like a little T there. So now that we laid our T, we now have to do the diagonal bands, So I will lay my upside down V. I will finish off that top with my 2 horizontals. And now I'll go back to my straight one in the center to make my T. I just want to show you guys what it's looking like so far. So it can get messed up easily if you try to rush. So just pay attention to whatever you laid on the last section. I can see that I laid my straight one in the center. So now I need to lay my diagonals going to the center. And then I need to always finish off with the 2 horizontals. And now I'm ready to start my next section, which will be straight in the center. And finishing off that with my 2 horizontals on top. So the only thing we're alternating is the center, whether we're laying it straight or diagonal. So we will keep doing this down the loom. For those of you who are using 1 set of 5, if you want to be able to follow the exact same instructions as me and like literally follow along step by step, then you are going to want to stop at the second to last row. That is for those of you who are only using 1 set of 5 bars. Because if you go to the end of your loom using 5 bars, your start will not look like my start. So I just want to let you know that so you don't have any problems following along with me. For those of you who are using 2 sets of 5, you will do what I'm doing, and we will be going down to the very end of our loom. So I'm going to go ahead and hurry up and get the rest of mine laid, and I will meet you guys back here when I am finished. Okay, so hit the pause button until you are done laying all of yours. Once you reach the end, you should have ended with a straight one and then your 2 horizontals like me. And now we are going to come back to the beginning so we can lay our next set of bands, which are going to be these baby blue ones on the side here. I'm going to use these opaque green. It's like a neon green. We're going to start on the second row here. We're going to be working with the 2nd and 4th bar pins, and we're just going to be laying straight ones on those pins. So starting on the 2nd row, lay a straight one there and there. We're going to be laying these on every other row. So we won't lay them again. We'll just come up to the next open pin and start laying our next one. In other words, they should be laying right next to your upside down V's. So I'll come up to my next ones and lay them there. And here. And we will do this part all the way up the loom. And that will be the last one, or last set that we're laying. So take a second, go through and push those down, and I will tell you what we are going to lay next. So now we're going to be alternating between laying 2 different colors. So grab your border color, whatever you used right here, make a pile of that, and then decide what color you're going to use where my opaque blue is. So we do lay cap bands, we're not doing that yet. The opaque blue that we're laying right now is the one that's laying in here. I'm going to use the same border color, obviously, and then I'm going to use purple for my other color. So I'm going to just do the right side first. It's just easier instead of going back and forth. So on the right side, we're going to lay a border color, and then you're going to grab whatever color you chose to use for this part. Mine's purple. And from where your border ended, we're going to lay a diagonal band connecting to the 2nd bar pin. Like that. Then we will go back to our border and we will lay it 2 times. So you lay 1 border band and then 2 border bands, and we will lay our 2nd color again, which for me is purple. And it should be connecting to the top of whatever straight band you laid. So you see how I have my green there and my purple connects up to it. Just to make sure you are in fact laying it on the correct row. That's a way you can check it. So we will lay 2 borders and then my diagonal purple. 2 borders and diagonal purple. So we will keep doing this. Not quite all the way to the end of the loom, but as we get closer to the end, I will show you how we will bring it in. And it will be the same whether you're using 1 set or 2 sets of 5 bars wide. I've just laid the last diagonal for my right side. And this is the only time where we're not going to lay 2 straight border bands when you get close to the very end like this. So after you lay your last purple diagonal, you're going to lay only 1 of your straight borders, and then we will bring the next border in, connecting it to whatever your last row of center bands are. So you follow that same logic whether you're using 1 set of 5 or 2 sets of 5. So if you're using 1 set of 5 looms, once you see that you are 1 row in front of where your bands end, that's where you're going to diagonally bring it in to connect it. And then we are going to lay bands right on top of the teal. So just lay 1 more horizontal one going into the center like that. So this is what it's looking like so far. I will have to push them down, but we're going to do the exact same process for the left side. So just like we did on the right, and if you're not caught up, just hit the pause button. But we will start with laying just 1 straight one, and then we will do our diagonal connecting it inwards. And now we start laying 2 borders. 1, 2, and then our diagonal. Then 1, 2, and our diagonal. So do exactly like you did on the right side for the left, and I will meet you here when I have mine all done. So once you're caught up and you're near the end on the left side like me, I'm at the second to last row from where my bands end in the middle. So remember, after laying one straight one, we are just going to bring it diagonally in like so, connecting it to the center, and then laying another center one, horizontal center one like that. This is what your loom should be looking like. So we do have to now lay some cap bands, which are going to be the same color as the purple diagonal bands that we laid. So if you're not caught up, just hit the pause button. When you are caught up, come back to where I am. And on the tops of the pins that have the purple and the green, that's where we're going to be putting our cap bands. So in other words, it's the third pin down that we're starting on. This is a regular cap band, so you're just going to wrap it around 2 times. Do that on both sides. And then you're going to skip the next row, come down to the next, and that's where our next one will be applied. It's very simple to know which pins they're going on because it's the pins that have the straight one and the diagonal bands where they meet. That's where the cap band will go. So you can use your hook or you can use your fingers like I am doing. But we do need to put a cap band on all of those before we can start looping. So I'm going to get all of my cap bands on here and I will meet you guys in a second when I am caught up. So once you're all caught up, like I am, this is what your loom should look like with all the cap bands. And one little tip that I do want to give you that I do is I run my hook around the cap band in a circle if it's very twisted up. Sometimes from rushing, the band itself can be very twisted, and just by running it in a circle, it can make things look a little better in the end. But what we're going to do now is turn our loom around so that it is facing us. You're going to grab one more of your border color and place a cap band on the front center pin for looping. I actually already did mine, so make sure you place a cap band on the center, and we are ready to start our looping process. So what we're going to start doing is looping the purple diagonal bands. So I'm going to do the whole right side first, and we're going to start on the second row right here. When you go into this cap band, just be careful that you don't pull the cap band off when you loop the diagonal band. So go into this cap band, grab the first band, which is my purple diagonal. And for this first one, we're just going to bring it to the pin next to it like so. We'll come up to the next diagonal purple. We're going to go into our cap band, grab our first band, and this time we're going to be looping this diagonally down. So instead of bringing it to the pin right next to it, you're going to come down one. We'll come up to the next one. Grab your diagonal purple. Carefully take it off of the pin and loop it down diagonally. So you can see that there is an open pin in the middle, and then the 2 purples are like connected around that. So we will do this looping all the way up the loom, of course. It can take some getting used to doing this looping if you're not, I guess, familiar with it. So just take your time, and if you have to, kind of place your finger on the cap band as you take this purple band off. You can do that so that you don't pop it off, but as long as you do it slowly, you shouldn't have an issue. This is what it's looking like, just so you can have a nice close-up look of how they should be looped. And this is my last one here. So that was all of my right side, and we're going to do the exact same thing for the left. So on the first one on the left, remember, we're going to be bringing this one to the pin right next to it. And now for all of the others, we will loop it diagonally down, just like we did on the right side. Now this side is a little trickier for right-handers, so I personally turn my loom almost sideways. And that way I don't risk dropping the band off of my hook. So do whatever is comfortable for you. And get all of your diagonal purples looped down, just like the right side. And when I am all caught up, I will come back. So I have all of mine done being looped up. Go ahead and hit that pause button until you're caught up with me. Once you are, we're going to come down and start looping the neon green, which is the straight bands. So I'm actually going to work on the right side first. And we're going to be looping these not back to themselves, but we're going to be looping them diagonally up to the empty pin where there's no purple connected onto it. So come up to the second row, go inside the cap band. You're going to grab your green. It's the first band that's in there. And we're going to stretch it diagonally up 2 pins. So not to the one closest to it, the one above it. And like I said, it's empty. It has no purple connected to it, so that's how you can tell that you are connected to the correct one. And it also sits directly next to a cap band. So it's 2 ways you can check to make sure that you are on the correct one. So I'm going to go into my next cap band, grab my green, and diagonally stretch it up to the right to the empty pin. Do that again. Oh, I keep hitting my tripod. So this is what we're going to do. This part is pretty simple. We're supposed to get some really, really bad weather the next 3 days. I think there's a hurricane that's coming up. I know that I read it, but I can't think of what the name is. But yeah, I'm in Delaware, and we're going to have not so good weather. How's the weather where you guys are? It's been really, 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 really hot. So actually, the rain might be nice to have a little change in weather, but I don't like the idea of hurricanes, and I certainly don't like tornadoes. Actually, they're a pretty big fear of mine. What about you guys? Let me know. Okay, so I have all of my right ones done. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the left side. So we'll start on the second row on the left. And we are going to diagonally stretch it up to the left to the open pin right there. Same thing for the next one. You can see it's sitting next to a cap band. It's connected to the correct one. And we will do this all the way up. Okay, so I got all of my left side looped up, and we are ready to loop the centers. We do actually have to do a little bit of looping of the border to get it out of the way, and then we will loop the teal. So on the bottom down here, we are going to loop out the top layers, which is my border. The top one will go to the right, and then the next one will go to the left, like so. And then we're going to do one more set of the borders. This one will go to the right, and the left will go to the left. Make sure you're only grabbing the border and not the bottom layer. So now we will start looping the teal band. So we're going to be starting on these pins right here. So it doesn't really matter which side you start on, but I'm going to start on the right. So the second pin in, we're going to go in and grab the bottom band. It's the only loose band that's left on there. And we're just going to bring that up to the pin above it. Do the same thing to the left. Bring that straight up. And now we need to flip over the purple cap band. So this cap band right here, you're going to grab the entire cap band and flip it over the pin. Do the same on the left. Flip it over and out of the way. We're going to back up and we're going to come to the center here. And we're going to grab the very bottom band. So you do have to push, I think there's 3 bands there that you have to move. Yes, there's 3 bands you have to move out of the way. You're going to grab the very bottom band, which is the straight one on there. And you're going to bring that forward. Like so. Now we will bring these 2 horizontal bands into the center. You can't really see it because it's kind of see-through. But there is a band right here. That's the band that you have to get inside of. And then grab that horizontal turquoise or teal. I always call one, if I'm using turquoise, I call it teal. When I'm using teal, I call it turquoise. But you guys know what I mean. So we're going to bring both of those horizontals into the center. Like so. And I would say this part is going to be the trickiest for those of you who don't loom, I guess, a lot. Because we have a lot of layers we have to get through in order to grab these diagonal bands. But you really have to make sure that you have them all pushed back. I can now see the 2 diagonal bands there, so I know I'm good. I'm going to grab the top band that's in there, which is coming from the left. And I'm going to bring that to the left. I'll go back in and do the same thing with the right one and bring that to the right. It's kind of tight in there, like so. So we are now going to loop these ones forward. We alternate, and this part can be tricky, so just keep following along until you get the hang of it. But every time that we're going to be whenever we're a row in front of the cap bands here, we know that the horizontal bands need to be looped up. I don't know if you'll remember that, but that's how I remember it in my mind. So we're going to loop these 2 forward. We're also going to loop this center one forward. And now we're going to flip our cap bands over. Like so. I had to lay my loom down. It was getting heavy. So now we're at these horizontals, and now these ones will be brought inwards. So there's only 1 band that we have to go through to grab that, and they will both come into the center. And now we are back at needing to loop our V band. So remember, there are a lot of bands here that you have to move out of the way. If you kind of move your loom around, you can see if there's 2 bands left there, which I think I actually pulled too many back. There we go. I'm going to grab the top one out of the 2 and bring it to the left, and the next one to the right. That will be the trickiest part of the entire looping process for some of you. It's even tricky for me sometimes, but yeah, just take your time. Now these horizontals will loop straight up. And we also will loop the very center band up. I like to get them all 3 looped up, and then I flip my cap band over on each side, like so. We will now bring these horizontals into the center. We need to get inside all those bands so that we can loop our diagonal V. Bring them both back to themselves. So we're back at the horizontals that are going to be looped straight up. Loop the very center straight one forward. Flip the cap band. And then now these horizontals will go into the center. And we do our diagonals again. So just like when we laid them, now that we're looping them, we will be alternating each row. So these horizontals go forward, so that we can flip the cap band on them, and then the other horizontal bands go into the center. So that's the main thing. You just have to take your time and pay attention. There are times where I accidentally loop it into the middle and then realize, like, when I go to flip the cap band that I didn't do that and I have to undo it. So just take your time and keep following along. Hopefully it's not too challenging for you guys. If you use a different color for the diagonal V's, or for the V's, when you go to loop it, it is a lot easier to see. But I just don't like how it looks. Well, I didn't like the ones that I did compared to the ones that I did all one color. I like it better with one color. But I didn't do many variations. I should have probably played around with the colors a little more. But I didn't have time to, unfortunately. So when you get to the very top of the loom, and if you're not caught up with me, just hit the pause button. You're going to do the same thing you've been doing the whole time. So we technically would be at the point where we bring this horizontal up, and we're still going to do that same thing, even though there's not a cap band up there to flip over. We will still follow the pattern and bring this last set of horizontals straight up, and then you'll do the same thing to the center one. Bring it straight up. So all of my centers are done. Hopefully it wasn't too difficult for you guys. Once all that looping is done, we are ready to do the border, which is super easy. We just loop it straight up. There's no flipping anything over. We just loop it straight up. So I'm going to do the left side first. Just make sure you get in front of any bands that are in the way so that you can grab the very bottom border. And you just loop it straight. Push out the purple out of the way, grab the bottom border, and loop it up. And we will do that all the way up both sides. Can you hear the airplane going by? It's pretty loud. I'm sure you can hear that. Once you get to the very top, you're just going to bring that border band in towards the right and do that one more time to connect to the center and then stop. And now we will do the border on the right side, which is exactly the same thing. And we will just loop it all the way up. So I'm going to get my right side done and I will meet you when I'm at the top. So just like on the left side, you're going to bring the very top row into the center, like so. And now we are simply going to grab this loose band that we have there for closing it. You'll go inside the center pin and grab the bottom of that band and bring both ends together. And that's where we will attach our C-clip. And for this design, you can pull this off of the loom. I know it's a wide bar design, but you can pull it off of the loom like this. It gets a little stuck, so you have to move it left to right. If you're scared of breaking bands, then just go ahead, use your hook, remove the outer rows like so, and then go ahead and pull up. So once you do have it off of the loom, just give it a good stretch up and down, because if yours is like mine, it does get stuck in certain places and the bands just get pulled every which way. So give it a good pull. If anything is too stretched or tucked, just go ahead and pull on it to get things to lay in the right place. But it really does come out very nicely off of the loom. And then you're just going to locate this C-clip and the cap band down here and attach both ends together, of course, like so. And there you have my completed Valhalla bracelet. Yay, I really like this color combination. So that is it, you guys. That is how you create my Valhalla bracelet. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you to Forest Hook for choosing the name for me. Once again, I appreciate it. But if you do like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button down below. And don't forget to share with me your rendition on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you all very soon at my next tutorial. Thanks, guys. Bye.